For the first time since the fall of Kabul in year 2021, a high-level dignitary from Afghanistan, especially Taliban Afghanistan, is going to walk in the diplomatic corridors of New Delhi. We are talking about a high-profile visit of the Taliban Afghanistan to India, to New Delhi in the coming days, and it is going to be one of the significant moments as far as the Indo-Afghanistan ties is concerned. Now, what has caused this sudden visit of Taliban leader, how it has been made possible, and what it means for India? Let us try to understand this in more detail. Now, to give you an overview of the key event that is going to unfold in New Delhi is that it is believed somewhere between October 9 to 16, the Taliban's foreign minister known as Amir Khan Muttaqi, as you can see from the photograph here, is expected to visit India. Now, earlier this visit was almost impossible because you know that United Nations Security Council Committee has basically put a travel ban on all the Taliban leaders because they are under the sanctions regime. However, as far as this particular event is concerned, UN has taken into consideration the diplomatic need and requirement of such high-profile visit and has temporarily lifted the travel ban, and that has made it possible for him to visit India as such. Now, significance is obviously it is first time we have such a high-profile visit from the Taliban's representative. Now, before the fall of Kabul in the Taliban's hand, Indo-Afghanistan relationship was very robust in nature. And this we can understand from the fact that India has invested heavily in the infrastructure and development projects. These projects included construction of dam in Afghanistan. This project included construction of highways such as Jaranj-Delaram Highway and also construction of the Parliament House of the Afghanistan as such. Now, Kabul-Delhi shared close diplomatic, cultural and trade linkages. We have also seen increase in the trade ties between Delhi and Kabul, especially in the area of dry fruits. And in 2021, when Taliban captured the power in Afghanistan, we have seen a kind of hiatus in relationship. Overall, any formal diplomatic relationship by India at least was suspended. The mission that India ran in Afghanistan in Kabul was locked down. And however, in 2022, India opened a technical mission so that to some extent Indo-Afghanistan ties are maintained and India is able to help Afghanistan, especially in the areas of humanitarian affairs as such. Now, if we try to understand that the Taliban leaders have been continuously under the scrutiny of UN Security Council sanctions, and this restriction includes travel bans, asset freezes, as well as arms embargo. However, temporary exemptions are allowed if diplomatic or humanitarian regions are assigned for such meeting, and Muttaqi has been granted short-term travel exemptions as per this particular what you can call as the step itself. Now, as far as the diplomatic itinerary is concerned, it is believed by many experts that before coming to India, Muttaqi is going to visit Russia. In Moscow, he will actually held talks with the representatives of several countries in the region such as China, Pakistan, Russia, and even India's representative is going to be part of that meeting. As far as the agenda is concerned, bilateral cooperation and trade issues are going to be highlighted as far as the Indo-Afghanistan relationship is concerned. And this also we have to understand from the perspective that the clearance that has been granted by UN is valid up to October 16. So if Muttaqi fails to visit up to October 16, that means again it will create a hurdle and it might not see any high-profile visit at least in the recent time. Now, before moving further to understand the significance of this visit from India's and Afghanistan perspective, I would want to bring your attention to the fact that Legacy IAS Academy, we are going to soon commence batches. That is going to be the regular weekday batches starting on 16th of October, and we'll have weekend batches for students who are preparing along with the full-time studies and job that will start in 4th and 25th of October. Now, we have several features, important features on this program, such as comprehensive coverage of all GS papers, mentorship session, regular interaction with educators, and also we have test series so that students can evaluate their performance, and based on the analysis of strengths and weaknesses, they can further streamline their preparation. If you want to know more details about the programs and features, you can click the link in the description box of this particular video. You can download our Legacy app as well as call the number being displayed here. Now, coming back to this particular topic, if you try to understand, though officially agenda has not been confirmed, but as per the news report, it is believed that both countries are going to largely talk about in the perspective or in the area of trade and economic ties, especially as you discussed, dry fruit export is one of the major export through which Taliban overall Afghanistan, we can say, was able to earn revenue in the past as such. Health sector cooperation also is on the agenda. Consular services and visa issues, which has been put under suspension as the embassies and consulates have stopped functioning, might also be brought up, and then we can see a fresh restart in these spheres also. Apart from that, we also have seen that India has talked about providing port access for Afghanistan goods, and overall regional connectivity and humanitarian engagement, obviously, we might see as a topic of discussion. Now, as far as the Afghanistan's perspective is concerned, now we have to understand and look at the map here. We can see that Afghanistan, India do not share direct land border because we have Pakistan in between. And that is why it is very important that whenever we're talking about the trade ties, the connectivity and trade connectivity has to understand the practical dimensions, such as using Iran's port or using the other ports in the area, and then through maritime trade we can connect both countries. Now, also we have to understand there is a political interest of Afghanistan and Taliban more specifically as well, because till now only Russia is the country that has recognized formally Taliban as a sole representatives and official representatives of Afghanistan as such. So they want to increase their legitimacy in the areas, and that is why political engagement is the first step forward. They also are trying to diversify their diplomatic outreach, because till now the Taliban Afghanistan has been receiving most of the support from the Pakistan, China, and now Russia as such. Apart from these three countries that do not have any strong relationship or any kind of partnership, we can say, with any other nations. And India, being in the close proximity to Afghanistan, obviously becomes a first point of contact if they want to increase their outreach. India obviously is also seen as a strategic economic partner, and there is a need for recognition, trade, and investment in Afghanistan, because you know that to a large extent the investment in Afghanistan has stopped after the Taliban captured power, and Afghanistan is facing one of the worst humanitarian crises, as there is a shortage of basic resources, and that is something that the Taliban leadership would want to change as such. And overall, as you have discussed, beyond Pakistan and China, they also want to develop the relationship. Now, as far as the current engagement of India with Afghanistan is concerned, we have to understand a technical mission is operating. As far as the humanitarian aid, health and education program or funds are concerned, India did not cut off. Rather, it has assured Taliban leadership that it does not matter whether India recognizes their leadership formally or not, they would ensure that such kind of aids are continuously being transferred to the country as such. India, for example, you talk about the August 31 earthquake, which was one of the most devastating earthquake that was witnessed by Taliban in recent time. India was the first country, or one of the first country, to send relief effort and relief material as such. Also, people to people connection is something that India has emphasized upon. Overall, however, we have to understand that Taliban itself is considered as a pariah on a global scale. Thus, India's approach in this regard has to be very cautious and pragmatic in nature. Also, we have to understand now that what basically India may gain from such kind of visit, high profile visit. So obviously, it will provide a fresh impetus and opportunity for India to re-engage with Kabul or Afghanistan after a hiatus of 4 years as such. It can also act as a platform to counter Pakistan's influence in Afghanistan, and we also have to understand it is in the context that the Pakistan-Afghanistan relationship has seen a sharp downhill in the recent few years because of the border issues as such. There is a scope for regional stability discussion, especially because you know that Russia and Central Asian countries are also interested in having stability in Afghanistan as such. And thus, also, as we have known before, India has invested heavily in Afghanistan infrastructure projects in various different kind of assets. So the safety of this also India would have to take into consideration, and this can only be assured if Taliban is to some extent brought on board. So there is a chance to assert presence in overall evolving regional dynamics, regional geopolitical dynamics, as well as Afghan geopolitics, and that is why India cannot lose a chance. Now, also we have to understand that there is economic dimensions as well. For example, pharmaceuticals, wheat aid, dry fruits, all this can easily flow if countries can come to a certain type of understanding. Plus, we know that in Afghanistan, we have seen a presence of the element of Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan as well as ISIS. So, India would want to address these security concerns as well, so that the terrorism do not spill over along its border. We also have to understand that humanitarian diplomacy without formal recognition becomes very difficult, quite difficult. So, India would want to move at least in certain steps or take certain steps in this direction, and overall it basically will provide opportunity for India to position itself as a balanced regional stakeholder, and India would also have a say in the discussions as far as Afghanistan is concerned, because right now Russia, China are the major partner that are having a sway over the Taliban Afghanistan's rule. Now, this is going to be a very important development, very important meeting, and it can also be called or said as a test case for India's outreach policy in Taliban era. Now, obviously, we have to wait, watch and see how this entire meeting unfolds and what is the outcome of this, whether in the short term or long term. But we have to be hopeful that it will be considered as a writing of new chapter as far as the Indo-Taliban bilateral relationship is concerned. That is all for this particular video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your aspirants, as well as subscribe to the channel for more such content. Thank you very much.